Do you think you could eventually write a book? Like, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but do you think you could ever write a book that would be in present day but still really, really good, like Battle for the Stars?
I am trying to do that with the sequel. The problem is, by the time you finish writing it, it's the past now, not the present.
You had said that you're a twin and she relates to Nova in the book sometimes and whatnot, but I was just wondering, she didn't come tonight because...
It's not important to her. I told Kelsey 15 times when I was speaking. 15 times I reminded her to come. It was important. She didn't come. My dad couldn't come because he's on call. He fixes heaters and stuff. And my grandparents are, let's say they go to sleep early. Do you have a question over there?
Yeah, you mentioned using a lot of different cultural influences in this book and in the next book. Have you taken any classes in other cultures, or are you considering living somewhere else?
I'm taking anthropology. I've done child development, psychology, cultural development, sociology throughout high school and stuff. I really am inspired by Mary Martin and my anthropology teacher. She pushes me and she's helping me make my characters more culturally referenced. Because I do have characters in some of my fanfics who are from other cultures, and I try to stay close to their culture, but they end up sounding very American because that's what I'm familiar with. Yeah?
Do you have any authors that have tremendously inspired you?
Darren Shane for his use of himself, Aaron Hunter, Meg Cabot, and authors of different series like Artemis Fowl, The Daughters of the Moon. All sorts of series books inspire me.
You said that you sold your books with Barnes & Noble. Is it a nationwide thing, or is it just in the States?
The company, the Publish America company, entered contracts to sell the book with those companies. I had to do stores that are not on that chain. The Book Mouse and Walden Books are not part of that national chain. They're part of different ones, so I had to work with them to get it.
Would you say that your book is written geared toward young adults?
Yes, but I'm also trying to get in, how do I say this politely?
Us older people?
Well,
Yeah.
Harry Potter was...
I read all the Harry Potter books.
Was young adults.
You see,
and
that's
Twilight and that
I
has
want
a trilogy.
older
I love
generations to read it. That also plays key when I do my book critical reviews for the Ivy Leader. I try to pick books that are both young adult but a little bit of sophistication, because I don't want them to think I'm just picking books about kids in high school because that's all that's available.
Well, I read Skinned.
Hey, I read that one too.
I love that book, and which was written for young adults. And I read another book called Elsewhere. But I have a 15-year-old granddaughter. She's upstairs on the computer. And I like to read a lot of the books that the kids read just so that I can have that kind of discussion. So all my grandkids are big readers. And now they're starting to read some of the books that I read. So it's really interesting because we can actually discuss these now.
Yeah, and my book reviews have got people thinking. There's this book here at the library called Unwind about a puppet. I wrote a book review about it in the paper. Apparently, in the future, to end the abortion crisis issue, the governments came up with the idea that you could retroactively abort kids at the age 13. So,
Unwind.
It's cool. And you could then use a full body harvest to send all the transplant parts elsewhere. I wrote that review.
Who wrote that book?
Neil Sherman.
I
Neil
wrote that
Shevlin?
review because, like I said, I want to be liberal, and I wanted to get that issue in front of people so they would stop arguing about it and realize if we don't stop soon, that future will come to be. So that did inspire me as well. My dream is to continue writing books through my series, but since it could take time between books, I also want to be a book critic, write the little reviews you find on the back of books. You have a question?
Oh, no.
Is there any more questions?
Do you think one day you can make it high enough with your books that you could make it to like the New York Times list, bestsellers?
Hopefully, but I'm never going to go to New York. I hate big cities.
You might change your mind.
And
You're
risk
young
getting
yet.
turned into a street pizza? No, thank you.
You're not that scary. I grew up in Philadelphia. They're not, big cities aren't that scary.
Yes.
Traffic's the bad part.
You said that you got your love of writing because you couldn't read ahead, but why or how did you get into reading books?
When I was in preschool, all I ever wanted to do was hear stories. All I ever wanted to do was learn and know more. I wanted to be smarter, better than everyone else. And when kindergarten rolled around and they started teaching us our alphabet and stuff, I kept rushing ahead, trying to sound out the words, do what I could. And then I started reading and reading. I won an accelerated reader 15 times. I was so into reading. I won awards, achievements, because I couldn't put down a book. Teachers in LP, college, junior high, everybody had to stop me from pulling out a book every time we had a break. I once read a book in high school drama class. We had the day off because the teacher was gone and the substitute didn't know what to teach us. I just borrowed someone's copy of A Child Called It, and I read that book in 45 minutes. Thus shocking everyone once again. I have an accelerated reading thing. But I do read the poems you assign. I don't rush through them.
To also answer your question, Miss, she was being read to. She has an older brother, as she said. She was being read to in the womb and beyond. She's never not been read to. There have never not been books in our house. There is never, I've never censored anything any of my kids wanted to read, because I just think that's wrong. You know, if they found it inappropriate, figured they would have enough sense to put it down, and they did. Because I don't think you should close a child's mind to, you only can read this, because it says ages 3 to 8, you know. So if they wanted to read a 10-year-old's book, well, and they could do it, go for it.